Okay. Uh, Actually, my PC is restarted automatically. So why it is happening, I don't know. Okay, back to here. So what we are trying to discuss. Basically, now we are in the where is the demo class here? Okay, the demo class is not saved, so it is removed. Okay, let me create fixed dynamic demo. Fixed dynamic demo. And now what I am going to do? So observe carefully what we are doing here. Fixed stack. So is equals to new fixed stack. And here I'm passing 1 for 5 and another 5, 8. So these are the size of the particular integer array. And after this, what I am going to do? Int I is equals to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. And here stack1 dot push method. Here what we can do, I'm going to pass I value. Same way, I'm going to create one more. So the condition here I'm going to change with the 8 here. Now we'll check with the stack1. After creating this, what we are going to do? Again, we are going to work with loading an object here. So to load an object, what we can do? So instead of push, we are going to call pop method. Right. Observe carefully. So what we are doing here? One more I want to specify with the stack1, and here the condition we need to change. We are going to add around 8 elements. We are going to add around 8 elements. So if I'm going to run the same example, you can observe the below we are able to see the values here. Below we are able to see some values here. But only the difference here what we need to consider, because already we completed this example 2 times, but only the difference here how we can work with the interfaces. Getting the point. So this is all about the using the interface, how we are inserting the object into the stack, that is called integer stack, and how we are loading the value which we inserted into the int stack. Same way, now I'm going to work with the dynamic stack here. So the fixed stack we identified, how we can work with the dynamic stack. And now what I'm doing here, so initially the same I'm going to create something called 5. So there is no default constructor. Okay. And I'm going to create one more with the same 8 size here. The difference here, how exactly we can change dynamically. How exactly we can change dynamically. So if you observe carefully, I'm going to use these two loops here. But the difference here, instead of making this particular fifth, what I'm going to do, one is 12, one more 20. But initially, what is the size we are giving here? Something called fifth and 8. And by default, I'm going to increase the size here. For first one, I'm using the 12. For second one, I'm going to use 20. Getting the point. So using this particular two loops here, what exactly I'm going to do? I'm going to load an object information here. I'm going to load an object information here. So to understand here, I'm going to specify so that we can easily understand how exactly these are working internally. Very important here, basically we are trying to increase the dynamic array here. Observe here. The first one, what we are doing here, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What happened the earlier values here? Okay. So if you observe carefully, we need to use 12 and we need to use 20. Carefully observe, some 0 to 11 we inserted into the first one, and the second one you can see 0 to 19. But make sure, basically array concept is, before initializing the value, we are going to provide the size of the array. Right. The size initially, what is the size we specified here? Something called 5. Right. And internally, what we are doing here, so whenever we are calling this particular push method, we increase the size here. The condition we increase it. So instead of using the 5, what we are doing here, we are using the double here. Getting the point. So this is the way how exactly internally is increasing. So if we want to check here, what we can do, we'll try to put a breakpoint here inside this particular condition. Inside this particular condition, we need to check how exactly the dynamic array is creating internally. Getting the point. So now I will try to run in the debug mode. So you can see this particular variable section to understand more. And the item we are getting the 5. So initially we specified the default size is 5. So 0 to 4 elements are already inserted. So when we are getting here this particular task 4, and the stack length we are getting 5. The stack length we are getting 5, and if we are doing -1, we are going to get how many value, what is the length of this particular stack. So now observe here, this condition also is returning 4. This condition also is returning 4. Getting the point. So this is the way what we are going to do here. This particular condition is returning true. So it is returning true. Now once it is returning true, so what is the value we are going to get here? You can see 10 we are getting here. We are getting 10 here. Getting the point. So based on this particular 10, what we are doing here, we are going to create new array. So observe, inside the temp, so there is no values. All values we are having with a 0. These are the default values. But now what I am doing here, so if you observe carefully, whatever the value we are having previously, we added into the new array list. New array, it's not array list, new array. Getting the point. And we are having still some more elements we can insert. Using this particular temp, what I'm doing here, I'm assigning this particular temp into stack. So inside this particular stack, you can observe it is having 0 to 4. So whenever this particular 16 line number is executed, this is going to increase. So carefully observe here. See here. The same stack here initially up to this we are having. Now it is become increased to this bigger. And after that, what we are doing here, the 5 value we are inserting. So up to we are having the 4. The 5 also created just now. Getting the point. So this is the way. This is the way the particular new array is going to increase. And observe here, based on that we are getting the values here 0 to 11 for first object and 0 to 19 for second object. Getting the point. So this is the way we need to work on to create a dynamic array. So this is also important. You may get questions like when you are seeing any logical questions, how we can work with a dynamic array. Getting the point. Okay, and along with this particular dynamic array, need to focus more on the interfaces. How exactly we are working here? How exactly we are working here? And one more example I want to specify, basically how we can use the variable inside the interfaces here. How we can use the variable inside the interfaces here. Okay, back to here to work on those example. Now what I will do, I will create one more interface here. The interface name called shared constant. So I want to create the constants values here. So how we can work with this particular constants values here? Getting the point. And I'm having no is equals to 0 and s is equals to 1 and maybe value is equals to 2. Later we are going to work with 3 and soon is equals to 4. Never is equals to 5. Getting the point. So these are the 5 variable I'm using inside this particular interface here. So observe, using this particular 5 variable, how exactly I'm going to implement this particular interface. So to work on this, what we can do, we'll create a one class here. Questions. The class name I'm using questions here. And here, this particular class is going to implement shared constants. Getting the point. So we are not going to override anything. And if we observe, whenever we are implementing this particular shared constant, what we can do, we can access the particular variable information which are available in the particular interface. And so to work on this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to work with one more class, something called random class. So basically, I'm going to find the random variable here. And after creating this object, I'm having one method here. So the method called ask here. What exactly I'm doing here? So if you observe carefully, I want to take one variable called prob. What exactly it is doing here? Basically, next to next into value, I'm going to work here. This particular next into value, what I'm doing here, whatever the next into value we are going to get, and we'll try to multiply with 100. So once we multiply with the value, we are going to get one value called prob. Getting the point. So just what I'm doing here, if this particular prob less than 30, getting the point. So return no. So what happened? Okay, prob. Okay, now observe. So return no. So the no where we define? We define inside the particular shared constraint. Shared constraint is a interface. But how I'm using inside this particular implementation class. Right. So one more here, we can check with else if here this particular prob less than 60. Less than 60, I want to return something called S. I want to return call S. And if you are having 75. So to just understanding purpose, I'm using here something called later. Finally, less than something called 98. Return soon. Return never. Getting the point. So carefully observe here how exactly we are working here. So based on the interface variables, if I'm going to work like this, so no plus 1. So if you want to work with, we can work with no plus 1 or no plus 2. We are adding some more values here. But make sure, so this is the important, we can define the variable. For common resource, we can work with wherever we require. So to work on this, what we can do, simply inside the main method, I want to create, okay, if I'm creating static, we cannot access. Q is equals to new question, Q dot ask. So we'll see which condition is going to satisfy. No condition is not satisfied. No condition is not satisfied. So if you want to understand what is the value we are getting, so what we can do, simply we will print the prop value so that we can easily understand what is the exactly value we are getting. So we are getting something we are getting minus values here. So because of this, we are not able to find the what exactly we are getting here. Getting the point. Okay. So this is all about the interface variable how we can use here. And one more important information. Initially, when we are working with classes here, what we are doing here, we are trying to work with the extend keyword. Getting the point. So the simple inheritance example, we implemented the particular extend keyword. Same way, when we are working with interface to interface, we are going to work with the extend keyword only. The simple example I'm going to use here. interface 1. So this particular interface 1 having two methods, something called method 1. Right. So this is the one interface. Now what I'm doing here, I'm going to create one more interface here. And here, so we cannot use the implements here. We need to use the extend keyword. Getting the point? So whenever we are using this particular extend keyword, now what we are going to do, we'll try to work with interface 1. Getting the point? Whenever we are working with the interface to interface difference, so we need to use the keyword call extend. And whenever we are working with the class to interface, getting the point? Class to interface, we are going to work with the implements keyword. This is very important. Only one case we are going to use the implement, that is class to interface. All the remaining cases we are going to work with the extend here. Right. So we created extend here, and I'm going to add method 3. So how many methods we declared as of now? We declared the 3 methods. Getting the point? Now, so if you observe, I'm going to work with the class here. I'm going to work with the class. So to work with the class, interface to interface MPL. Which interface we are going to implement here? So to work on the 3 methods, we can go for the second one, that is called interface 2. So if you observe carefully, even though if you are using this particular interface 2, even though if we are using the interface 2, how many methods we are going to override? If you observe, how many methods we are trying to override here? 3 methods. So interface to interface we extended. So logically, the 2 methods are available into this particular interface 2, and this interface 2 having one more method, that is called mathematic 3, and along with this particular mathematic 3, so we are having 3 methods to override whenever we are trying to implement this particular interface. Getting the point? And I'm going to work with the interface 1. How many elements, how many methods we are going to override? Only 2 here. Getting the point? So this is the way we can work with here. And what exactly we are going to do? Simply we'll check with the math 1. So it's nothing but mathematic 1. And same way mathematic 2. So mathematics 3. And if you observe inside this particular main method, if I'm going to work with interface 1 new is equals to interface IMPL. Right. So using this particular 1 dot, how many elements, how many methods we can access? Something called only 2 here. So we are unable to access 3. So carefully observe, this is very important whenever we are working with references. So based on the reference only, the methods are going to call. So using the interface 1, we can access only 2. And if I'm going to change to, observe here, how many methods we are able to access here? So we are able to access 3 here. Getting the point? So this is very important here. Based on the reference, the methods calling is changing here. 3. Method calling is changing here. So this is all about the simple example on interfaces here. And so any questions regarding this particular interface related? Okay. So if we don't have any questions, now we'll move the one more important concept here, exception handling. So exception handling is one of the important concept in the Java language. So basically, if you are trying to work with any application, any while developing an application, you may get some kind of the exceptions here. So how exactly we are going to understand the particular exception and how exactly we are going to resolve the exceptions here, and what are the types of exceptions we are going to find in the particular Java language. So we'll try to focus on the more and observe here. So whatever we are getting here, so these are the compile time errors. So something called, if I'm going to make something here, this is not an exception. So the line number 19 we are getting something. This is not an exception. This is the compilation error. The Java compiler is giving an error. So you are not following the proper syntax here. So something we can call it syntax related errors. But when we are going to get the runtime errors, getting the point. So to work on this, what exactly we need to follow and what are the keywords are available in Java to work with the exceptions. So we are having 5 keyword here. So we'll try to focus on the 5 keywords here. The 5 keywords here. First one called try, catch, finally, throw, and throws. So these are the 5 keywords. So using this particular 5 keywords, how exactly we can work here? Getting the point. So now, so to work on this, what we need to do here? Getting the point. Basically, so some of the exceptions, so those exceptions generated by our Java runtime systems. First, we'll check how exactly the Java runtime systems exceptions are going to throw here. Later, how we can create the custom exceptions here. Getting the point. So to work on this, what we need to do here? We need to follow some of the blocks here. What are the blocks we need to follow? First one is try block, and along with try block, so we are going to implement the code inside this particular try block. If get any exception, what will happen here? This particular catch block is going to handle the exception. So here we are going to define the catch exception related information so that the catch block is going to handle. And this particular finally is going to use whenever we want to close any resource information here. Whenever we are opening any connections, so those connections we can close inside this particular finally block. And one more here. So if we want to throw, instead of handling this particular exception, if we want to throw an exception, what we are going to do, we'll work with this particular keyword. And other than this particular method reference, if we want to handle this particular exception, so we are going to work with the final keyword called throws here. So this is the syntax we need to follow to work with the exception handling here. The simple example, we'll try to check here how exactly the exception handling is going to work here. Getting the point. Now, I'm going to remove this information. So inside this particular main method, just focus here how exactly it's going to work here. Basically, now I want to work with into d is equals to 0 and a is equals to 42 by d. Getting the point. So try to focus on this example, how exactly we are going to get an exception here. If I'm going to save and if I'm trying to run the same example here, you can see, so this is the system generator, something called the Java runtime system is provided this message here. And you can observe here, interface IMPL, this is the name of the class, and the 29 is the line number, and where exactly the class is available, and the main is a method name. So this is very important here. By seeing this information, we can easily understand where exactly this particular exception is coming and what is a exception name. That is called arithmetic exception. Getting the point. So this is the arithmetic exception and what is the message here. So something called slash by 0. Slash by 0. So we are trying to divide some value based on the 0. Getting the point? So because of the slash by 0, we are getting this particular arithmetic exception. But this is by reading this particular exception information, we can easily understand how exactly the exception is coming, where exactly, and which line number, and in the which class. All the information we can able to find. This the system, something called the Java runtime system is generated message. Okay, now understand here. Okay, before going to see one more example, now what I want to do here, basically for this particular exception classes, we are having one super class. I'm talking about only this exception related information. The particular exception classes we are having throwable. We are having throwable here. Getting the point. So this is the throwable for all the exception related classes is a super class. Right. And after throwable, again we are having sub information here. So this side we are going to have error information. So this section we are not going to discuss because as of now Java is not going to handle this kind of information at all. Error section. Error section is nothing but out of memory, any system failure, network related exception. So those we are not going to handle here. Getting the point. And back to here, we'll try to check with this. And here we are going to have the subtype here, something called exception here. Getting the point. So this we are going to discuss. Inside this particular exception, we are going to have one more subtype here that is called runtime exception. Runtime exception. I'm trying to write with the shortcut here. Runtime exception. We'll try to check with the first exception. Later we'll move on to this particular runtime exception. Getting the point. So this is a simple hierarchy when we are working with this particular exception handling here. Getting the point. Now, what I can do, exactly how we are going to work with this particular exceptions here. So simple example I want to use. The same example I want to use here. What I'm doing here inside this particular try block, I'm providing this particular code. So whatever the code we are going to get an exception. And later what I'm using this particular catch block. So this particular catch block, so that is we identified which exception we are going to get. Arithmetic exception. And this particular exception information I want to add. And after this, what I'm going to do, simply I want to specify so division by 0. Getting the point. So after catch, I'm going to add one more statement here, something called after catch statement. So carefully observe, if I'm going to run this example, what will happen here? So as of now, we did not find any the system message here because we are trying to handling this particular exception. We are trying to handling this particular exception. So once we are handling, so we are going to find this particular message here. And after this particular catch block, what we are doing is we are trying to executing the remaining statements here. So this is the way, whenever we are going to get any exception, we are going to handle like this. So using this particular catch block, we are going to handle the exception, and whatever the code we may get at runtime, the code we are going to define inside this particular catch block. Getting the point. So now, what exactly I am doing here? So whenever we are going to get any 0, whenever we are going to get any 0, now what I'm going to do, so I can initialize the some of the code information here. I can initialize some of the code information. So something called, if you observe, again I want to use inside this particular okay, so instead of this, we'll go for the one more example. So observe, I'm defining int a is equals to 0 and b is equals to 0, c is equals to 0. So these are the three variable I'm defining here. Let me check here. Right, and again I want to use the random to get the random value. Now, so what we are doing here, we are creating the random. Using this particular random variable, I'm going to get next into. So the next value we are going to get, and what I'm doing here, whatever the value we are getting, I'm initializing into b, and again I'm calling this particular random next into. So this I'm going to initialize to c, getting the point. And after this, so I'm working with a, and here divide. Observe carefully. So I'm trying to divide with some value, but inside this particular divide, again I'm going to have something called b by c. Something called b by c. So this code I'm going to add inside this particular type block. Inside this particular type block. And after this, I'm handling the catching. The same exception I'm going to add something called arithmetic exception. Inside this particular arithmetic exception, so I will try to specify some message here. The same message, division by 0. Okay. Observe carefully. So we are working with the random. This particular random is going to give some random value. The random value, what we are doing here, we are making into b and c, and with this particular value, we are trying to divide the some value. So we'll see if we get any exception, what we are doing here, we are trying to making the a value 0, and if we are not finding any exception, what we can do here, simply we can print the a value. We can print the a value here. Now, so let me handle this particular scenario. You can observe here. What we are getting here, something, the a value we are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After dividing with the value, we are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So before that, what we can do, we'll try to check with the b value. What is the b value we are getting? And c value. And c value. Observe here, in case if we get any exception, we are giving an option to handle. If not getting any exception, we are happily moving into the next line of the code. Right. We will try to run the same example some multiple times here. So see, B value we are getting some minus value. C value we are getting something, some bigger value. And if you multiply, we are getting some minus value. So if I'm going to run one more time, you can see, so every time we are going to have different values here. A value 0. So you can observe here. This time the condition, it's handle the catch block. It handle the catch block. So we doesn't know when exactly the catch block is going to handle. Whenever the particular value we are getting minus, whenever we are getting the particular value, the divide value 0, in that case we are getting an exception. After running 3-4 times, we are getting this particular exception. So this is also very important to handle this particular exception. Using this is the way we can handle the exception here. Getting the point. Now, so we'll try to work with multiple catch blocks here. We'll try to work with multiple catch blocks. So as of now, we are working with only one catch block here. So we'll check with the multiple catch blocks how exactly we can work here. So to understand, so again, I'm going to create one more simple example here. One more simple example here. Multi-catch. Inside this particular multi-catch, what I'm doing here, I'm working with a try block. Inside this particular try block, what I'm going to do, so I will check with, first to open the main method. Inside this particular main method, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the length here. So I'm going to use the length. This length I'm going to provide into the variable called A. Getting the point. So this is we already identified. This is the one array we are going to get. So this array we can access the length variable like this. And after accessing the length of this particular string array, what I'm doing here, and we'll try to provide we'll try to print out the A value, something called A. Right. After providing this particular A value, now what I'm doing here, int B is equals to 42 by A. Getting the point. And into, so I'm creating one more array that is called C array. What I'm doing here, I'm trying to work with 1. So inside C array, only one element I'm adding. And so in this location, some value I'm trying to initialize. Getting the point. Now this is also very important. The last two lines carefully observe. What we are doing here, we are creating one array. The array, the type call here int array. The int array we are creating with a value call only 1. So what is the size of this particular C array? Here it's having only 1. The size is having 1. The 0 index, what is the value we are going to store? Something called 1. But now the next line here, the line number 10, what we are doing here. So in the 42 index, here, this is the index here. In the 42 index, we are trying to initialize the value that is called 100. But as of now, we don't have the 42 index. So up to how many indexes we are having? We are having only one index that is called 0. The size of this particular int array is only 1. Getting the point. So we don't have any, the size, it is 42 or 43 to insert this particular 42 inside this particular 42 index. So we'll see what kind of exception we are going to get. Getting the point. And after this, what exactly I'm doing here, I'm adding catch block. One is arithmetic exception. That is right now we checked here. Sys out 0. So divide by 0. Here I'm going to make here the exception information. So instead of value, what I'm doing here, I'm going to specify the exception information. Along with this, we are going to handle one more exception here. The second index here, that is called array index out of bound exception. So array index here, what I'm doing here, I want to print the exception information. And if we are not finding any exception, simply we'll try to print this message. After try and catch block. After try and catch blocks here. Okay, so carefully observe here. If I'm going to run the same example, you can see the first one is handle. The first one is handle arithmetic exception. Getting the point. The second one is not able to handle. So why? Whenever we are defining the multiple catch blocks here, if one catch block is satisfied, it's not going to check any other catch block here. So directly it's come out of the all the catch blocks is trying to print the next statement here. The next statement we are printing here. Getting the point. So this is the way the multiple catch blocks will work. And the same example I want to run in the terminal. So where we are having terminal. Inside this particular terminal, what I can do, where this class is available inside this particular package. Now what I want to do, I want to move into this particular location. So try to focus on the below code. What I'm doing here, so initially I will check with the Java C multi catch. Okay, so let me so multicatch.java. First we'll try to compile. It is compiled successfully. And Java multicatch.java, and here I want to give something called test1. So now you can observe which exception we are getting here. So now you can see a value we are getting something called 1. The a value we are getting. So which line is printing? The line number 7 we are getting here. So now we have got a different exception here. If you observe here, array index. Array index, we are getting something called array index out of bound exception. So initially we are getting this particular arithmetic exception, and for this example we are getting the second exception, that is called array index out of bound exception. So this is the way we can handle the multiple catch blocks here, and we'll try to focus more on this particular example in tomorrow class. Any questions regarding this particular exception handling related examples here? Okay. So if we don't have any questions, we can conclude the today class and we'll try to continue tomorrow the remaining concepts.